Good day everyone. We are the group of Criminology 21 and we will discuss about fingerprint examination with the use of ACEV method. And let's proceed with the first examiner, Mr. Abenoa.
Hi, good day. I'm Kurt J. Salabinoa, and I'm assigned to examine about the fingerprint specimen labeled as Q1 that is compared to the standard specimen marked as S1. Q4 is developed using black powder from a rear passenger panel and standard print from S1 provided by the instructor. Upon examining the question print, I'll be using the ACE-V method. The clarity is tolerable since it is practically enough to be exposed in fingerprint examination and the ridges are enough to see. The size of question print is imprecise because the details of the prints are unclear and cannot be subjected to examination. In terms of shape, it is distorted because the lower right part exhibited a smudge. Location inexact because there are not enough points to determine the location of the print. Orientation of the question print is evident because we can analyze the direction of ridge flow from left to right of the question print. Lastly, the group relationship of the question print is absolute value. We can say that the point and count between the ridge are recognizable. The three levels of detail named as level 1, level 2, and level 3. These levels are present in the question plane. Level 1 details, ridge flow, focal points, classification orientation. Level 2 details, ridge path, minute to way, and points ridge characteristics, bifurcation, dot, and ending ridge, location, type direction, group relationship, morphology or size and shape. Level 3 details, ridge attributes, pores, breaks, and in comparison, point 1 exhibit a short ridge, next point is bifurcation, point 3 is another short ridge, point 4 from point 7 are all ending ridge. Lastly, point 8 is another short ridge. Here we are in the evaluation. So after conducting and accomplishing the analysis and comparison of the question print, I therefore conclude that the Q1 and S1 right thumb comes from Jesus Nazareno de Magiba.
All of this will be evident as we move along to the next process, which is the comparison. Here we are going to assess the overall level of the ridge details. It surpasses the first level, which requires the ridge flow and the absence of the characteristic. The Q2 Latin fingerprint displayed a plain arc pattern type, devoid of core and delta. It had a deliberate progression of ridges, a scar-like appearance, and most notably, the hallmarks of an arc design. The examiner concluded that ending ridge, dot, and short ridge are the unity points that must first be identified to recognize this type of Latin print. It produced a good result because the examiner can recognize the recorded fingerprint by carefully analyzing and comparing them side by side. As to finger number 7, or the left index finger, is the corresponding recorded ink print for this print. Based on level 3 detail, it shows edge without discernible pores in this comparison. The following fingers were ruled out: fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10 were eliminated. due to its type of pattern. Fingers 1, 5, 6, and 10 were excluded based on level 1 detail, and fingerprint number 9 were also included based on the level 2 detail.
Hello everyone, I am Charmaine Silutz and I am the fingerprint verifier assigned for the question fingerprint specimen number 2 or also known as Q2. Q2 is the lip print developed using black powder from the outside rear of passenger side marked as Q2, and this will be the one to be compared from the standard print marked as S2, and it is ink recorded fingerprint of Mokang de Maculangan obtained from the fingerprint files. To officially start the process, we will follow the ASB method, which stands for analysis, comparison, evaluation, and verification. Now, we will move on to the analysis. There are two columns there, and the first one is properties. The second column is attributes. As we can see in the screen, the first property is clarity. And when you look at the latent question fingerprint specimen, it is tolerable. And it shows that because of it, it is enough to be subjected to fingerprint examination. And the characteristics of this print are clear. That is why it is suitable for the fingerprint examination. Second is the size. Looking at the same specimen on the screen, we can easily assess that its size is precise. That is why we can proceed to the fingerprint examination because it achieved the qualification of the size. The third property is the shape. As you can see in the screen, the shape of the standard fingerprint can easily identified as finger. Therefore, it is deemed as intact. And the fourth property is the location. Looking at the same specimen on the screen, we can see that the ridge details can be determined and can be examined. The fifth property is the orientation. And this property, it concerns the direction or the flow of the ridges in the question fingerprint specimen number 2. We can see that the flow of ridge are going up since we are able to describe which direction it is going. Therefore, its orientation is evident. And last but not the least is the sixth property. It is a group relationship. Due to counted and clear, I can say that it will have an absolute value for it to be able to exactly determine the relationship of ridge characteristic to be compared prints that you have seen, and you can compare it. And in our next step, which is the comparison, to sum it up, in this analysis, the three levels of ridge details named level 1, level 2, and also the level 3 are present in the question fingerprint. In level 1, the ridge flow of the fingerprint pattern is plain arc. There is no delta and core will be seen. And in level 2, the ridge part and characteristic are also present to those regions that are named as ridge endings. The ridge are visibles of where the ridge pathway or the general ridge flow. And level 3 is the ridge attributes is visible, especially the pores. And all of the characteristics that level 1, 2, and 3 says are evident in the question fingerprint. After analysis, we will now move on to the comparison. As you can see in the screen, the question fingerprint and the comparison or the standard print having the same characteristic. As you can see in the screen, the point 1 is located near at the middle part of the finger and it is a short ridge. And from point 1 moving right to the side part of the point 2, which is the dot. And from the point number 2 going down after counting one ridge is where the point 3 located, and it is dot. From point 3 going down after 3 ridges is the point 4, which is the ending ridge. And going on the left corner after 4 ridges, the point 5 is located and it is also an ending ridge. Moving upward from the point 5, it is the point 6 where the ending ridge is also located. And going up to the left corner after 6 ridges is where the 7 point is located, and it is also an ending ridge. And moving right side from the point 7 is the point 8, which is also an ending ridge. Upon doing evaluation, Q2 and S2 came from the same source, which is Monica Mokang di Makulangan. Specifically, the sample prints from the outside rear road passenger and the fingerprint files matches that identifies it came from the left index finger of Monica Mokang di Makulangan, and it is a plain arc pattern. Now, I can say that after conducting my individual verification on Q2, there were no conflicts encountered, and I acknowledge the conclusion of first verifier. So I hereby verify the identification to Monica Mokang di Makulangan. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Niel Joshua Rural, and I am the examiner of question fingerprint number 3 in comparison with standard fingerprint number 3, which is the right middle finger of Matilde Tindeng Asuncion. The lifted print is developed using black powder from a piece of glass window pane, and standard print from Matilde Tindeng Asuncion marked as S3. To officially start the examination, we will follow the ACEB method, which stands for analysis, comparison, evaluation, and lastly, verification. So, first property is clarity. The clarity of the Latin print or question fingerprint lifted from a piece of window pane is tolerable, because it is somehow enough to be subjected to fingerprint examination and not that impossible to be examined. So the second property is the size, and the attribute of it is precise. It is precise because the size of fingerprint is suitable to undergo fingerprint examination. So, the third property is shape. The attribute of shape is distorted, but it is still can be subjected to fingerprint examination. It is because there is the visible ridge characteristics in both questioned and standard fingerprint. So the fourth property is location, and the attribute of it is exact. It is because the ridge characteristics are clear and can be seen at its location. The number 5 property is the orientation, and the attribute of it is evident because the direction or orientation of the ridges are seen. The last property is the group relationship, which is relative position because of the pieces that is present in the prints. So, in result, we can say that level 1, 2, and 3 details are present in the examined fingerprint. So, we will now move on to the comparison. The two specimens are in agreement and somehow relative as what we can see in the exhibit. Number 1 is identified as the island. From number 1, if we go down, we will spot a short ridge, which we will count as the second point of comparison. After one short ridge, beside the number 2 is a bifurcation, and we will count it as the third point of comparison. As we take a good look on the exhibit, there is an eyelet on the upper left which we will count as the fourth point of comparison. And if we go up a little bit, we will see another eyelet which we will count it as the fifth point of comparison. If we count 2 ridges to the right, we will see another island, and we will count it as the sixth point of comparison. After one ridge above the sixth point of comparison, we will see a spur, and we will count it as the seventh point of comparison. If we count 2 ridges below to the right, we will see the short ridge, and it is considered as the 8th point, and which is also the last point of comparison of the examined fingerprint. Now that we completed the side-by-side identification of point of comparison in Q3 and standard fingerprint, I can say that the two specimens are in agreement. It is because they have the same identical ridges, and the question and standard fingerprint are with the same pattern. Moreover, the quality of friction ridge and ridge characteristics are the same as what we have shown in the exhibit. So let us now move on to the last part as the examiner, which is the evaluation. I can say that the result I have come up with is that there are no conflicts in both specimens or alike ridge characteristics such as bifurcation, short ridge, island, and islet. That would be all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Reynald Magbano, and I am the verifier of the fingerprint specimen labeled as Q3, compared to the standard fingerprint of Matilde Mokang Asuncion. Upon verifying the examined prints, I will be using the ACE-V method, and it stands for Analysis, Comparison, Evaluation, and Verification. I will start on the analysis, which has different properties such as clarity, size, shape, location, orientation, and group relationship. The clarity of the question print is tolerable because it is enough to be subjected to fingerprint examination. The characteristics are almost clean. The size of the question print is precise. It can be also subjected to fingerprint examination. Moreover, the shape of the question print is distorted, but this does not mean that this print is not suitable for examination, because the distortion does not affect the overall quality of the print. Also, the location of the question print is exact because the rich details are recognizable for examination. The orientation is evident because I can identify, or we can identify the rich flow of the question print, whether it is flowing from left or right direction. Lastly, the group relationship of the question print is absolute because the points and counts are slightly blurry but identifiable. In this analysis, the three levels of ridge details named as level 1, 2, and 3 are present in the question print. The ridge flow is visible, and also the ridge path and characteristics are also present. Those ridge are named as island, short ridge, bifurcation, and spur. The three processes are evident in the question print, as you can see here in the presentation. The first point is an island. In comparison, the first point is an island. Below is we can see the point number 2 as a short ridge. Point 3 as bifurcation. Point 4 and 5 are both islet. Point 6 as another island. Point 7 as spur. And the last point 8 is identified as a short ridge. Upon evaluating the question print and specified print, I conclude that the two prints are both from a single individual. The question print comes from S3 in the right middle finger of Matilde Asuncion. I therefore conclude that the owner of the fingerprint is Matilde Asuncion. Upon verifying the examination of Mr. Niel Joshua Rula, I can say that he did a great job, and there are no other conflicts with this outcome.
Good day everyone. My name is Jimwell Terence Aiteria, and I'm the examiner of question fingerprint number 4 or Q4. We consider the said question fingerprint it is intolerable due to its unidentifiable characteristics. Firstly, the ridges and precision skills details are extremely plain and barely discernible. The overall quality of the print is significantly compromised, making it challenging to identify and classify the ridge characteristic accurately. Furthermore, the ridge flow pattern in this print is highly distorted and irregular. Normally, we rely on consistent ridge flows to establish reference points and identify corresponding nuclei. However, in this case, ridges appear to bifurcate, merge, and terminate abruptly, resulting in an inconsistent pattern. Additionally, there is an unusual amount of smudging and distortion present in the print. possibly indicating movement or pressure exerted during the fingerprint process. This distortion make it challenging to determine the true reach path, and further hampers our ability to locate and match corresponding mutate points. In rare cases like this, where the print's quality, reach flow, and overall clarity are severely compromised, it becomes incredibly challenging to find a matching print.
Good day everyone. I am Glenmark Araceo and I am the fingerprint verifier assigned for this question. Fingerprint specimen number 4, or also known as the Q4. Q4 was a leaf print found developed from caliber 45 using black fingerprint powder, and in this were enabled to identify the fingerprint pattern. The core and delta are not visible in this leaf print, and the lower section of the fingerprint is deformed. As a result, it is impossible to predict how the process will progress. The focal points and classification on this print are no longer visible due of the very thick ink on the upper portion of the print. Due to inaccurate print taking, the ridge characteristics are no longer visible at the leaf print. After conducting my individual verification on the Q4, there are so many conflicts that I encountered. I acknowledge the conclusion of the examiner.
Hello, I'm Curtis Labinoa, and I'm the fingerprint examiner assigned for this question. Fingerprint number 5 or Q5. Q5 is a latent print lifted and developed from a 9mm pistol using black powder. Clarity tolerable. The clarity of the latent print is enough to be subjected to fingerprint examination. Size imprecise. The size of fingerprint is not suitable for examination because of the various formation on its edges. Shape distorted. The shape is distorted because some parts exhibit a blurry portion that may hinder the accurate result of the examination. Location exact. Orientation evident. Group relationship absolute value. In terms of comparison, the first point labeled as 1 is a short ridge. Both point 2 and 3 exhibits that, while the rest of the points such as point 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 show an ending ridge. The result I have come up with is that the two specimens are alike. Both specimens came from the same source. We can conclude that Q5 is located in S5 in the right finger of Marciano de Maculangan are alike, and these specimens are with the same source.
Hello everyone, it's me again, Niel Joshua Rural, and I'm the fingerprint verifier assigned for this question, fingerprint number 5 or Q5. Q5 is the latent print lifted and developed from a 9mm pistol using black powder. Clarity tolerable. The clarity of the latent print is enough to be subjected to fingerprint examination. Size imprecise. The size of the fingerprint is not suitable for examination because of the various formation on its edges. Shape distorted. The shape is distorted because some parts exhibits a blurry portion that may hinder the accurate results of the examination. Location exact. Orientation evident, and group relationship absolute value. In terms of comparison, the first point labeled as 1 is a short ridge, and both point 2 and 3 exhibit a dot, while the rest of the points such as point 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 shows an ending ridge. The results I have come up with is that the two specimens are alike. Both specimens came from the same source, and we can conclude that Q5 is located in S5 in the right finger of Marciano de Maculangan are alike, and these specimens are with the same source. Question print Q5 in comparison with S5 right index finger. I found out that there were no conflicts encountered. I accept and acknowledge the conclusion or evaluation of the examiner, so I hereby verify the identification of Marciano de Maculangan on Q5. That would be all